Pakistan at impasse with U.S. on drone attacks after meetings with Mullen. They've been telling them for months to stop the bombings. Over 1,000 drones bombing all over Pakistan. And the globalists are saying we're not going to stop. I mean, that's the empire. The god Zeus flies above you and throws thunderbolts at you, and they admit, we kill no-name terrorists. If we see someone with a gun, we kill them. When guns are as ubiquitous in Pakistan as they were in Texas in the 1920s. That's what happens in Afghanistan. They see you driving along in your Jeep with a gun in the rack, like Farmer Jones used to do. The troops just gun you down and mark you down as Al-Qaeda killed. Just like we've talked to Dr. Bob Bowman, who flew combat missions over Vietnam, over 100. And he talked about how a lot of people he knew would just say, they'd be flying along, even in areas controlled by the good guys, and they would just see a boat driving along with a family fishing, and they just kill them. And there was the headlines, the U.S. Is defying. In fact, that was a powerful headline. U.S. still has options for drones if denied use of Pakistan bases. Pakistan has said, stop doing it for months. Stop, stop, stop. You're ordered to stop. And now they're talking about kicking the drones out of Pakistani bases. And the West is saying, we don't care. We're going to go ahead and keep bombing you. And by the way, this isn't an act of war. These are humanitarian bombs, kinetic bombs. Also, I've got a report here that I'm going to play a clip of ahead of Gerald Celente joining us, or I may just play a short clip out of the 8-minute clip from Real Clear Markets. It's up on Infowars.com. Gingrich, Ben Bernanke has done a terrible job. And Gingrich went on to say that, because I heard him on Hannity yesterday driving around doing some errands, not just this video, but I heard him say we need to split the Federal Reserve in two and give the money power back to Congress. Now, if Gingrich, who's written books about how he supports world government, carbon taxes, if Gingrich is going on CNBC saying things like this and going on Hannity, that shows that they know, with polls over 85% of Americans want to audit or abolish the Fed, that the jig is up. So they're really starting to panic. And they said, let the Fed control dollar value. That means hand that over to the global new bank of the world, but let Congress control it domestically. So really, it's sounding like he's saying, get rid of the Fed. He's spinning it to say, well, let them handle dollar value, which is the dollar, and then let Congress, again, rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. So I've got those reports here. Looking at Libya, warning of new Vietnam in Libya as British military advisors go in. I've been seeing for over a month these headlines about military advisors going in. They've been bringing weapons in out of Saudi Arabia. They've been bringing advisors in. They've had U.S. and British troops lasing the targets on the ground so the bombs can be dropped on them, targeting them, vectoring them. And now they're just going, oh, now we've put troops in. Now we've got troop ships off the coast. Now the EU is going to send in a humanitarian force who will lead the rebels into the Gaddafi-controlled cities. And if Gaddafi doesn't lay his guns down, well, then we'll have to have a bigger ground war. Here's the EU, here's NATO. We're rolling in behind the rebels with weapons we gave them. If you fire on the rebels, you're firing on us. You're not allowed to fire at us when we're firing at you. This is peace. This is help teams. Help teams. Warning of new Vietnam and Libya as British military advisors go in. But the Prime Minister said, don't worry, this is not a military action. It's not military. It's not military. It's military, but it's not. Okay? And the radiation levels, now over 500 times normal levels in many states, according to the state readings that are being released that we have up on PrisonPlanet.com. Don't worry, the government just raised what they said safe levels are. So this is not a war in Libya. And radiation levels going up are not dangerous because the government raised the level. Here's the New York Times. War in Libya could drag on, military analysts say. New York Times. But UK's Cameron says NATO not creeping towards ground war. No. And the air bombardment, it's not an air bombardment either. It's a no-fly zone. Stay with us.
Big John, Big John.
The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is a hedge of protection.
Big John. Nobody seemed to know.
And when due process is removed from the equation, it allows corruption to take root and then to grow until there is no liberty and no prosperity left. And so it is my mission to simply try to illustrate how deceptive, how corrupt, and how ruthless the global ruling class is. Look at all the lies they've been caught in. Look at all the corruption, to the point of where many people just accept that that's what government and mega corporations do. But then I hear the very same servile public praising the police when they throw the book at somebody for some petty reason or even frame them. And it's because deep down people are scared and they're intimidated by the bullies. And they think that if they go along with it and make excuses for it, that somehow they're going to be immune and protected. And that type of attitude allows more and more corrupt bureaucrats to get in, more and more corrupt police, more and more corrupt military to displace the good men and women that are standing up for what's right. We need to illustrate what a good police officer is, what a good military person is, what a good member of Congress is, what true American and just free human values are. I mean, I look at this new DHS terror alert system, and it's really the old InfraGard system going nationwide and widespread. And I'm going to be breaking that down. DHS launches new alert system designed to terrorize public. We did a search term yesterday, but I only made it to like number 5 because I only plugged it briefly. I've done the search term and tested it. If you make this the #1 search term, it will lead them directly to Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and this article by Kurt Nimmo that is the most detailed I've seen yet, proving the fake terror and that these terror alerts are meant to create a climate of fear so they can bring in an even greater police state. I want everybody to search the term terrorize public. Very easy. Terrorize public. Terrorize public. And you can clone the article to your website, and then you'll get the traffic when it goes to #1. Let's make it #1. Now, we know they're blocking TSA terms. Let's see if they're blocking terror terms. Terrorize public. Terrorize. Terrorize public. And I'm going to be reading much of this article later in the broadcast, but I'm really proud of this article that Kurt Nimmo did. It's just got amazing amounts of research in it, and it's so important to understand why they're doing what they're doing. Paul Watson's article explaining what the nanny state system is all about. I asked Paul to write this article last night, worked on it with him some. I asked Kurt, we had a meeting last night for about 45 minutes. We went over this. He wrote it this morning. These are important articles that you know what's going on, but this will help you understand why, and every statement we make is linked to their own admissions. This is social engineering. We've got Nomi Prinz, formerly a big insider, managing director at Goldman Sachs, coming on to talk about the move towards losing our AAA rating. We've got Gerald Celente also. We got these in on Monday, and I haven't plugged them yet. The banners are going up today. Everything we do at Infowars.com is about a symbiotic relationship. T-shirts, ball caps, videos, books, it's all about getting the word out. And T-shirts are a great way to meet like-minded people and strike up conversations. That's why I came up with the idea to make this shirt, Infowars.com, on the front with a big water droplet with a skull in it. People will ask, what does that mean? And you can turn around to the back. There is poison in the tap water. Learn more, Infowars.com, and then you can explain to them about sodium fluoride. Get the T-shirts and fight the poisoning of the water, Infowars.com. We're live. It's hour number 2 ahead of Nomi Prinz joining us to get into what's happening with the bond rating of the United States with the T-bills, the S&P announcement that The outlook is negative for the AAA rating being continued. What the ramifications of that mean, that's coming up. But I want to take a few calls ahead of her joining us, then Gerald Celente, in the last 30 minutes of the next hour. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. And I'd love to hear from you about state police, not just in Michigan, but all over the country. We saw these reports years ago. They have wireless antennas that hack in because they have the back door, so it's instant, basically, 2 seconds on average, and download what's on your phone. Or when they pull you over for speeding, they demand your phone, color of law, no right, plug it in, it's a warrantless search, and steal everything off your phone. I do want to spend a few minutes later in the hour getting into your iPhone is tracking your location, and they've got these top computer experts saying YouTube, Apple won't tell us why they're saving this, but it appears the program triangulates with cell towers and tracks them, and then when you log onto your iTunes, it downloads the information. It's all in the Telecommunications Act. I mean, when you see how ignorant even compartmentalized computer experts are, sure, they know the code. They know how to identify it. It's public. It's been public for 15 years. It's the Telecommunications Act. Remember, if you've been listening 10, 15 years, I kept telling you over and over, if you were listening 5 years ago, every AT&T, every other major telecommunications hub is the NSA. They have whole floors, not closets. They have whole floors where everything is run through it. And then the AT&T exec went public in San Francisco and blew the whistle that everything runs through it, and it's an NSA area of one floor. It's the Telecommunications Act. See, when they had to pass this into law, it was all public. Then once it goes in, we don't get the details. But it's all right there. And I guess I'm already covering this now. It's just, ladies and gentlemen, it is so frustrating because this is not hard. This information is not hard to understand. This information is not hard to figure out. This information is all there. I mean, I told people back in October 2001 when they passed the Patriot Act and we got a copy of it. Nobody could get it till the day after it passed, including members of Congress. They got it about an hour before. And it said, the government will break in your house and not tell you without a warrant. If you find out, you can be put in federal prison if you tell anybody. We're going to, anybody who commits a misdemeanor, we can take your entire Bill of Rights and Constitution. Section 802, any action that endangers human life, it's a violation of any federal or state law. There's hundreds of misdemeanors. And they're counting on you not knowing about this. It's all there. And so, of course, years later, you have the headlines. State of Tennessee used Patriot Act thousands of times in non-terror-related cases, including marijuana and domestic disputes, and the similar headlines everywhere. They lie to you and say, it's not a war in Libya. It's not an air war. It's not a ground war. There are no troops. Well, there were troops. Oh, we're not going to use the Patriot Act on you, hoping you don't go look it up. Then we get the internal MIAC Homeland Security reports. And there's no mention of Al-Qaeda. There's no mention of the globalist little stooges. It's all gun owners, libertarians, veterans, in the Fed people. Well, in the Fed, look what it's doing to America. I mean, is Newt Gingrich going to be on a list now? He's saying get rid of the Federal Reserve? Only on the surface. It's a trick. He says, let there be the international Fed run by Bernanke over the dollar, and then Congress will control domestic issues. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.